Good morning, Zio here, and today we're talking Halo again. That's right, we're going back to Halo because I do admit that I didn't completely fully dive into the subject, the TV series, right? I just wanted to talk about my initial thoughts as I found out that this was a thing and seeing things falling around and stuff with people going, oh my god, this is terrible, and all this other stuff, even though it's not out, and how they were coming to that conclusion that this was going to be a terrible idea. And apparently my ability to think critically had also went out the window before I did that and stuff. So since then I have been digging, looking into things, and I completely understand why this series is now just going to be a generic sci-fi flick with a Halo skin on it instead of actually being something worthwhile and good. So with all that, grab yourself some coffee, sit back, relax, and let's get into it, shall we? Oh, and I also got a suit. See, look at this. I look more official, more newsworthy now. Right? That's what I was going for. Anyway, now I just need coffee and I guess a stack of papers in my hand and I'm good to go, right? But of course then I also have to figure out a way or get something to track my hand movement to begin with, so I'm not so stiff and just a head bobbing on a stiff body. But yeah, you know, it's getting there, right? But yeah, so we're back to this article I had pulled up because I saw the thing. And I had pretty much just read the title to it and was like, this is a bad idea right here. And even looking at that, I already knew that that was a bad idea. And we went across it, right? You know, why Master Chief hasn't shown his face. Yeah, we did. We talked about that yesterday, or I'm sorry, Friday. Actually, that would be today. Yeah, anyway. We talked about that Friday. Also, apparently my highlighters, for whatever reason, has stopped working, so there's this thing in the bottom right now because I had to download a different highlighter for some reason, and it only works when this is up. Yeah, I'll have to mess with the settings and see if I can make it go away. But anyway, so let's just go down real quick because we're going to sort of rant and tell this this person, this show writer, whoever the hell it is, how horribly wrong they are, right? That's the name of the game today. How wrong are you? Anyway, so let's take a look and quote this highlighted stuff real quick. But when you play a first-person shooter, the way the character is developed is very different than what is necessary when you are making a long-form television. To go on this journey with your protagonist, you don't going to be able to bring an audience along in a long form story without having access to the character's face, which tells you what they're feeling, how they think, and everything about everything. The access to the character's emotional life over the course of time is what makes you empathetic and connect with a character. All right, so this is obviously spoken by somebody who has never played a video game in their life. They've never played RPGs. They've never played a first-person shooter. They think first-person shooter is, I don't know, I guess, Doom, like the original Doom. I guess that's the amount of experience they have with a first-person shooter, in my opinion, right? I mean, we've had things like Time Splitters and other things throughout the years that tell a decent story. You know, you don't need all this extra stuff and everything else to tell a decent story. Hell, Halo itself, you can follow that. You can turn that into a movie or whatnot. In fact, it's been done, right? You got Halo Legends or whatnot, which is the non-canon anime adaptation thing. You had that other live action Halo thing that I think was done pretty decently with like the what was it, Fall of Reach or something, with the Academy and stuff and everything going to heck in a handbasket like in a matter of seconds and things. I thought that was pretty decent when I last saw it, or when I first and only saw it, which was years ago, so I may may have a different opinion now if I was to actually watch it. But anyway, I felt like that was done decently, right? That was done pretty good. And yeah, to sit there and say that you can't because it's a first-person shooter and therefore you can't tell the story like you want to is a bit on the ridiculous side. No, the difference here is going to be where the camera is, right? The person watching this medium isn't going to be behind the mask 24/7. Like, we have cutscenes that keep us not being behind the mask 24/7 in these games already. That's what I'm saying, you know, and it's just going to be kind of that the entire time without the first person setting, right? It's going to be third person, like watching a long form cutscene for 30 minutes to an hour at a time, and it should tell us a great story. And, you know, you don't have to change the formula for that. But anyway, we continue. I'm sorry, but this is the only choice for long form storytelling in television. What I say, what I would say to anybody who disagrees with that, I totally respect that opinion, but it's a pretty basic place to start when you're trying, or when you're talking about making a television show of quality. Well, I don't know if you've actually looked at television lately, but the quality has gone down a lot for various reasons. There are very few things that I will watch and I will say, this isn't half bad, right? You know, anything from the CW has gone to the garbage, pretty much. As much as I love The Flash, and I force myself to watch the TV show because I like The Flash, it's not as good as what it started out as, okay? And Supergirl is just, wow, it went downhill real quick. Star Trek Discovery, STD, horrible. Can't stand it. Picard, can't stand it. And these are all properties that I absolutely love, right? Like, these are shows that I grew up on, watching Star Trek and things like that. And now, in current day, it's horrible. Yes, the production value is better. Yes, the CGI is amazing. But that's all it's got going for it. It has no real story to it. The story is crap. It has taken what it originally came from, crumpled it up, threw it into the incinerator, and just walked away. And that's why these things are not doing as good as they are. This is why comic books are rebooting Miss Marvel for like the 17th time at this point. I mean, technically, I think it's like 5 or 6. I don't quite remember. The last time I looked was over a year ago, and it was like the 5th reboot in the past 2 years for that particular property. But anyway, you know, and there's a reason for all that. It's crap. Its quality is non-existent. It's taking its property and corrupting it to a point that it's no longer its property, right? Anyway, this idea of showing the face is bunk. It's already bunk. I already know it's bunk, and I can easily point to one thing, that's right, one thing, and say, this is why it's bunk, and here it is. It's the Mandalorian, all right? Yes, I understand. At the end of the first season, we got to see his face, right? We got to see his face, but the thing is, we didn't have to. Right? We absolutely did not have to see the Mandalorian's face for the Mandalorian to be a good show. In fact, you know, there was... Anyway, point is, we didn't have to. But they did show it for a brief, you know, for a little bit, and it's very, very rare to see his face for a variety of reasons, mainly lore, right? You know, the Mandalorian doesn't take off his mask. You know, the Mandalorian does not take off his helmet. You don't see the Mandalorian's face. And it works. It's great. I absolutely loved The Mandalorian. I hate the fact of what has happened since then, of course, when it comes to actresses and other things where they've taken them out for stupid acidine things and all this other stuff. But The Mandalorian, I thought, was a really good show. You know, it was great. And it was in the Star Trek universe. And, you know, whether it's canon or not, you can debate about that all you want. You know, I thought it was decent for what it was. It was fun. And you didn't have to see the guy's face. That right there, just one example is enough to prove that it works. You don't have to see the character get angry under the mask. You don't have to see the character tear up under the mask to understand the emotion if the writing is on par. That, in my opinion, is a weak excuse for somebody who sucks at their job, right? They're like, well, we have to do this in order to convey the emotion for you as the, watcher, to connect with the person. In reality, if your writing was fucking good, it wouldn't need it, right? But anyway, so the other thing, right? Apparently this thing went through 265 script drafts. Holy fucking shot. And $90 million for production, right? And wow. And I hate to see that this is probably going to flop because of how it's been set up. Because they went with my hope is to expand this is a swing for a broad audience. My hope is to expand what Paramount Plus brand can mean, right? That right there is a death knell into a coffin that they have dug themselves into, right? The grave that they have dug themselves into. When you sit there and go, well, we wanted to swing for a broad audience, not realizing how big the audience already is for the property. I mean, if you took Halo and you did it properly, right? You took something that already exists in canon or even out of canon, and you did it properly. You did it right. You would get so many people flocking to Paramount Plus just to watch Halo. That's what happened with The Mandalorian, for fuck's sake. I mean, people flocked to Disney Plus just to watch The Mandalorian, then granted canceled it afterwards, but that's what happens, right? That people will flock there if you do it right. The problem is you're not doing it right. You're going to see a surge in people who are curious, naturally. Those who have the ability to will sell the high seas like normal. And that's about it. It will come out that the thing is crap. It is horrible. And people will go away from it. People won't really care that much for it. You'll get the whatchamacallits, the critics, the approved critics, talking about how amazing it is, how groundbreaking it is, how awesome this thing is, with an audience score of like 20, right, or 30. I mean, for all I know, it could go like the Cowboy Bebop route, like where a majority of the show is completely unwatchable because of one freaking character is written horribly. Well, the few times you get with the main characters or the main people in the series is actually somewhat enjoyable, even though it's not canon with the rest of the universe, like it is an alternate reality canon kind of thing. But I do digress. Let's continue, right? Until just the past few years, however, video game adaptations have rarely been called cool, let alone successful, and almost all forms of them have been feature films. Now, this, of course, is, yeah. Anyway, so, yes and no, right? As the thing says, but recent big screen hits like Pokemon, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Uncharted haven't dispelled the reputation of video game adaptations as mercenary cash grabs, granted to disappoint fans and non-fans alike. That's false. That is categorically false. I don't know anything about the Uncharted anything. Was there a movie for Uncharted? I guess there was, and I just missed it. I'm not like this huge Uncharted fan or anything, but then again, whatever. As for the other things, that's partially right. If we're talking Super Mario Brothers, the original 1980s, was it 1980s or 1990s? Anyway, movie that came out, or anything of that ilk from back in the day. Absolutely. It's been horrible. The idea of, usually you can go with video game as a movie equals bad, and the same thing as movie as video game equals bad, because they just never, they don't work, right? They don't work very well. And yeah, but things like Detective Pikachu and Sonic the Hedgehog worked. Why did they work? Because the people behind them actually enjoyed the project. They actually enjoyed the game. They know something about it. And on top of that, something like Sonic the Hedgehog, they listen to the fans. Sorry for the random jump cut. But anyway, yeah, you probably heard somebody yelling for me. needing my assistance because they spilled a bit of milk. Anyway, so yeah. Things like Sonic the Hedgehog, Detective Pikachu did pretty decent. In my opinion, they were much better than what we normally get, right? When it comes to video game movies. And, you know, for a combination of reasons. For, you know, things like just knowing the property and, you know, the people behind it liking the property enough to do the property justice. I mean, heck, even Sonic the Hedgehog, when it started and then showed its adaptation of Sonic, and everyone looked at it and was like, please take that nightmare fuel away and replace it with OG Sonic. Please, for the love of all that is holy, replace it with OG Sonic. And they did. And then, of course, you know, the journos and stuff, the journalists out there were screeching to the high heavens going, oh my god, why would you do this? And then the movie did fantastic. Everybody loved it. The fans loved it. You know, the fans who are now old enough to have their own kids, their kids actually enjoyed it. They loved it because Sonic was Sonic, right? I mean, sure, Robotnik wasn't exactly classic Robotnik, but at the end of it, we got that tease, right? That Robotnik was getting to that close, you know, into that classic Robotnik thing. We got the tease with Tails right at the end and all this other stuff, and it was fantastic. It can absolutely be done, and it's being done better. The problem is who is behind it, right? It's always who is behind it. Is the person a fan of the series? Is a person, you know, knows anything about that particular gaming series or anything else like that? That is the big difference between a flop and an amazing movie that everybody enjoys. Now, granted, of course, there'll always be things for us to nitpick, but yeah, aside from that. Anyway, so of course this was posed. I was nervous. He said, how do you take a first-person shooter and expand it? It's real simple. You just do. Right? It's like these people don't realize that the Star Wars Extended Universe existed. I mean, granted, I know Disney came in, right? And they completely said, yeah, the expanded universe is out. Nothing of that actually exists. We're making our own shit. And everybody was like, fuck you. We're going to continue to do our thing, blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And, you know, where you stand on that, you know, is up to you and stuff. But still, you can. You just have to, I don't know how to fucking write. I don't know how to fucking write. So I'm not saying I can do a better job, but clearly, I could actually probably do a better fucking job than what these people are currently doing. Anyway, there was something else that I had highlighted too that I wanted to look at and go over real quick, because this video is going very long. This is going to be a long one, guys. I'm sorry if you haven't noticed already. We didn't look at the game. It says Season 1 showrunner Steven Kane. The Last Ship, whatever the fuck that is. I assume that's another show or something. Anyway, we didn't talk about the game. We talked about the characters and the world, so I never felt limited by it being a game. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is the problem. Right there. That. All of it. You can write something absolutely non-canon if you wanted to, but if you don't know anything about the property, you can't actually write anything non-canon, because it's going to be so far away from the original property that it's no longer the property anymore. It's like Ghostbusters 2016, right? something that is so far out there that it just no longer has what the original had. They turned what was a serious, lighthearted comedy into a straight-up comedy because that's what they thought it was, because they didn't understand the nuances or anything else about the property. They didn't understand any of it, and they treated it like shit as a result, and it flopped as a result. Anyway, the richness and depth of the universe was immediately kind of mind-boggling. I'm sorry, I had to do something. Anyway, and incredibly exciting because what it means as a storyteller is that there's already been a huge amount of preparation and groundwork. That's right, there has been. And you throw it all the fuck away. That's the problem right there. Because you can't be bothered to look at the game, talk about the game, look at any other property that exists with it. And it's not like the game is hard. If you go through it on Legendary, you're probably never going to beat the game, but I guarantee if you put it on the easiest mode, you could get through Halos 1, 2, and 3 with no problems, right? And that, you know, at least that would give you a basis of what's going on without picking up 4 or 5, or Reach, or Fudge, whatever the current one is right now, Infinite. Right? Without picking up anything else, without reading The Fall of Reach or any book devoted to the property, and you can get a better idea of what it is like to be Master Chief. Why Master Chief doesn't remove his helmet, for fuck's sake. Right? You know, why we don't do stupid things like that in the game. It gets hinted at, but it never actually gets shown. And when it does, and mind you, if it ever gets shown, it is going to be a big deal for everybody who is a fan of that property. I guarantee it. So it better be a very spectacular or very sad, heartwarming, whatever moment it is going to be. It is going to be explosive when it is. And you cheapen it by making this fucking show and forcing everybody to see what's under the helmet in like episode 1 or whatever. Right? And you're just going to, you're essentially stealing 343's thunder at that point. And I think that's just disrespectful and horrible by doing that. Because now that's going to be the Master Chief, whether you like it or not. And, you know, people are going to argue about it for now. And then it may even prompt 343 to do their own thing at some point. You know, even if they never thought about it. And I hope it doesn't. I hope... You know, as much as Halo is right about now for me, I hope they don't change their normal designs just because of this stupid show. But anyway, I guess that's where it is. I stopped reading. This thing is freaking long. I'm done with this. In my opinion, Halo the TV show, it could be done, right? And you know, you could take this. What is Battlestar Galactica style? This would be a show to do that dark and gritty, sort of shaky cam kind of thing. You could do this with a reporter tagging along kind of deal if you really wanted to, and make this show freaking amazing. But instead you're going to throw it all out the window because you can't be bothered to be held back by what already exists, as you would put it. So it's going to turn into this generic sci-fi romp that nobody really cares. Nobody wants, with Master Chief skin on it. And that's it. That's exactly where this feels like it is going, and that sucks. Anyway, let me know what you think down in the comments below. I'm sorry for this taking so long. But yeah, I'll talk to you later. See ya.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment, smash that like button, and always subscribe for more. And of course, there are other videos floating around somewhere on the screen, so click one of those and see if you can find something that suits your fancy. Till then, I'll see you later. Bye.